Hello, good evening, everybody.
Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Speak there. I can.
Loud
It's
and
very
clear,
low.
Dato. Loud and
Hey,
clear.
Peter, how are you?
Hey, good, good, good.
Hello,
All right.
man.
Are you ready?
Yes, for sure. It's right.
Okay. Awesome. Now, hello, everybody, and good evening. Everybody is joining us in our investors copy time today. We have a very interesting topic today. I mean, for the past 2 weeks, we have been talking about stock investments and locally and also internationally. We have a few guest speakers, and today we have something very special, which has got to do an alternative investment, right? And we're going to discuss about, can a watch is just a timekeeper, or can it be a appreciating asset? All right, so that's what we want to discuss today. And today we have uh, Dato Michael Tee with us, a very good friend.
Hello.
She's like my brother in crime. We have been knowing each other for more than 15 years. And so when you want to talk about watches, he's the one who go to lah. Because he's the one who actually rachon me also to get watches, right, as an investment. So yeah, glad to have him here. He'll be sharing with you later on what kind of watches which are basically can be treated as investment, and what watches are just to basically keep time lah. All right. But before we go there, let's just make it a friends while we are waiting for others to come in. How many of you do collect watches? Can you just put on your comment watch or watches? If you are collecting watches, means you probably have about at least 50 watches lah. All right. I know Dato have about more than I think 300 or 500 watches. I think.
Hey.
I, I admit I have five, but all is below 100 ringgit. Counted or not?
Yeah. So you guys, if you have watches, just type in there watches if you are a collector, so that at least you know that you are also a collector, and and you can share with us as well in the comments if you want to. Right. So while you are typing in the collection, whether you're a collector or watch collector or not, or some of them collect stamps. Okay. Uh, I'm just going to share with you, give you an update on the markets first, right? So let's take a look at what's happening today in our stock market. Our index is basically down down 12.26 points to 1,357.5. I'll show you on the chart how it looks like, right? It looks like, it looks like a lot going down, 12 points. But let's take a look at chart how it looks like. So we have about 3.7 billion shares. Volume has come down a little bit. You look at the volume for the past few days, averagely has been around 5 billion shares, right? Trading value is very low, actually. It's 1.675. And for the past 1 week, we see that the average price is around 50 cents trading in the market. The average stock price has been traded. So that means there are more probably retail investors in the market, because normally retail investors are the one who trade lower price stocks, right, or lower cap stocks. So we have a lot of volume, although 3.7 billion, but the trading value is only 1.675 billion ringgit. Okay, there are 207 gainers today and 689 losers or decliners on today's market. So market strength is a big week today, lah. Right, generally it's down across the board. So which are the stocks that's been traded highly today? These are the top 20 volume stocks, and most of the stocks are down except for Thrive. Okay, because of course Thrive is a 5 cent stock, right? So it goes up 5 cents to 10 cents to 1 cent, not even 10 cents, half cent. It's 1 cent. Okay. So Thrive has gone up half cent today, so that's why it's 100% lah. Looks quite a lot lah, but just one thing only actually. Right, and you see most of the rest of the other counters are down, and most of these counters, if you look at the average price, right, and these are the top volume one, they are around 10 cents. Of course, Thrive is like, there's also a 1 cent stock there. There's a 30 cents, 20 cent stock there, 40 cent stock. So all of them averagely on the top volume are all below 50 cents now, right? So that's where the focus is, and you can see oil and gas stocks has take some beating today, right? Hibiscus, Amada, and Sapura Energy and Velasco, they are the top volume today, and the prices went down, right? So most of the stocks being traded today, we look at generally oil and gas stocks, right? The top 5 gainers for today, on the left, you see there's Alliance, Time, HLFD, Hong Leong Financial Group, right? Westports, PPB. So generally, it's basically banking stocks and oil, right? And port. Okay. And the right-hand top losers today is Nestle has gone down under 40 cents. Yesterday we see Nestle went down, today went down. So it's only 136 and 90 cents today, right? For Nestle. 𝐀𝐥𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐧𝐚 is down. KSM is down. Hong Leong Industries and 𝐈𝐧𝐯𝐞𝐬𝐭 is down, right? So generally, they are the bigger or the blue chip companies are the one that has with the top 5 losers today. Okay. Now compared to our regional market, our index is down, following the China market. Right. So you look at SSEC is down 29 points. So we are following China markets, whereas the rest of the market is up. The FTSE Singapore Fair Time Index was yesterday's price because today the market is closed for a holiday, right? With Indonesia as well. So Nikkei is up, Hang Seng is up, Korea is up. Only Malaysia and China is down. All right. This is how the chart looks like currently. So if you have followed us for the past few days, you see that we actually get a renewed interest in our market when the index goes above 1350 points, 1350. So it went as high as around nearly 1,370, but in the past few days has pulled back. But the good thing is it's still above 1350, right? So if you can stay above 1350, that means the trend is still there. There's still support in the current bullish momentum. But if it goes below 1350, we may see it back to this box over here, which is a consolidation phase. All right, so that's KLCI. So if you look at the markets, of course, if you're able to rebound moving forward, then we may see our index going higher. And the next the resistance level on the chart is around 1410 points or 1410. Right? That if the index can stay above 1350. US dollar against the ringgit. Now the thing is that ringgit is actually strengthened against the US dollar. It's its highest or strongest level since the 16th of March, right? So it's almost a month. It's now at 4 ringgit and 30 cents against the US dollar. So it's strengthening a bit. And if you look at the chart, it looks like the ringgit can strengthen further against the US dollar. Probably to around the previous broken resistance level at 424. Right, so we may see a pullback in the USD against the ringgit. So ringgit is probably going to strengthen a little bit now. All right. So guys, that's the update on the markets. Now let's get back to business today. All right. So today we're going to talk about investments in watch, alternative investments. Right. So whether watch can be an investment or not, and that's the reason why today we look. I'm actually wearing 2 watches today. Just Asian, right?
Obviously, I'm really wearing one, so I'm definitely not a watch collector.
Hey, man, I never wear 2 watches a day, man.
Hey, how come you're supposed to go and show your 300 over collection of watches?
No way.
Is it, Dato, is it arranged on your table? Later, can I just zoom down to show your collection?
I have prepared some. I'll try to show it to you later. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So thanks for inviting me. I think I've told you that the title for me is better to put that I'm a watch enthusiast rather than a collector or some very different name, because to be honest, I don't actually collect watch and make money on watch itself. So actually it all started from a hobby lah.
Yeah, I remember the first watch you rachon me was a Seiko SKX007, right?
Exactly.
That watch has got me to buy many other watches.
Dato, maybe before you start, I think you have a disclaimer to all the audience. Yes. There is a chance of possibility after listening to Dato Michael. There's a very high chance of all of you rushing to buy watches. So this is the disclaimer.
It's okay, Peter. MPO, the shops are closed.
There's already AliExpress.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, Dato, please start, Dato.
Okay, so I've told Benny, I've been start collecting watches since about 10 years ago. Also for watches from Swiss watches, all the way to Japan watches, Japanese watches, all the way to some German watches. So I'm very honored. Thank you very much to Benny and also to Peter Thank you very much for giving me less than 24 hours to prepare the slides.
You're most welcome.
Okay, so I've actually summed up all what I'm going to share with you tonight within about 14 slides itself. So for those audience, I mean, some of you maybe today is a Friday night, so I'm going to share a bit of more fun stuff with you all, because I know that everybody has been looking at stock market for the past 3 weeks. Don't worry, thanks to our Prime Minister, you are going to look for the stocks for another 2 more weeks, because the MCO is just extended, right? So I think Benny and Peter will continue to give you some very good education contents about stocks. And definitely, I think I'm one of the odd guy in equity tracker. I think majority of you every day are very busy looking at the stock price, the stock reports. And then Benny and Peter and some of the staff, I know that every day their postman actually sending watches to the office itself. So from that part, I think you all will know that the differences is a bit, it's quite huge between what you like and what I like itself, right? So okay, so we'll jump straight into the first page of the PowerPoint, which is alternative investment is luxury watch a wearable asset. So I've always joked with Benny that time when Benny was not being racuned by me on watches at time. He always, I know Benny for almost about 15 years. He always told me about stocks. So I told him that why not if you invest one day in an asset that you can actually wear it and enjoy it anytime you want, right? So you know,
Dato, sorry, the sound is coming out quite weird. Peter, are you hearing the sound as well? Okay.
Yes, I hear it. There's a strong echo coming from your side, Dato.
Yeah, try to speak again.
Hello, is it clear?
Okay, now. Yeah, better now.
Okay, so I told Benny, I mean that if you have, even though you own a lot of public bank shares, right, you can't every day bring out your public bank statements and tell people that, hey, look, I have a lot of public bank shares. You can't actually wear public bank shares on your with you every day and enjoy it with you every day. You can enjoy the dividends, no issue. But if you want to invest something that at the same time you can enjoy, looking at it, if you are so crazy about the watch, you can look at it by about 24 hours if you want. That is something where watch itself might be something interesting to you. So I've told Benny that and also Peter that I've never started watch collecting as a business or investment. I always started it as a hobby. And what's the reason why I evolved today from a enthusiast into a bit more collector is because I've been chasing watches, and I find that my money is always not enough to buy whatever watches that I'm aiming for the next. So then I slowly go into the rabbit hole and look at why there is a market for watches, and why the price of a watches actually increased. A certain model, a certain brand increased steadily over the years. So which means that whatever money that I'm making is not helping me, it's not fast enough to help me to get the watches that I want. So I will share with you some of the models that I've been hunting, but really no luck that I haven't actually got those yet. So moving back to the second page, Benny. So I would like to share a bit with every one of you, okay, a brief history of a wristwatch. So the reason why I use wristwatch over here is because in the old days, when you talk about watches, the first impression, the first thing that comes to people's mind is actually a pocket watch. So it's not a wristwatch, it's a pocket watch. And the word watch actually came from the old English word called voice, which means watchman. So which means that in those days, clock or pocket watch is not so common. There is a watchman who actually walk around, actually running around the town to tell people what time is it. So the word watch itself actually comes from the old English word, right? And the second thing, a wristwatch is a portable timepiece designed to be worn around the wrist. So which means that at the very, very beginning, a watch is not being created or crafted to wear on the wrist. So it's actually started as a pocket watch first, right? And the third point is a wristwatch were almost exclusive worn by women. Listen properly, it's women, not men's, right? While men used to use pocket watch until the early 20th century. So this actually inspired me about close to about 10 years ago, where me and one of my good friends who started the watch hunting journey, Paul Gui. Okay, we were thinking that those ladies out there, you all have so many accessories. You all got earrings, you all got handbags, you all got bangles, you all got a lot of rings. But guys, look at us. I mean, we are so poor that we do not have any accessories. So the most accessories, if you wear too many rings on your hand, you might look one kind, or if you wear too many bangles, or you wear a lot of necklaces, it might not look professional. So it bounces back to what are the things that you actually want to wear as a guy, which is functional and also act as an accessory. And the most important thing over the years, actually, the watch that I'm wearing itself starts as works as a conversation starter for the business in business world that I'm in. So looking at the watch itself, it has actually remained as a male accessory for many years. For myself, and prior to that, I've made some research. A lot of guys look at some celebrities, look at some businessmen, look at some sportsmen itself. Watch has become a very major stream of male accessories itself across the world. All right, and then the last point is men wristwatch first was worn by military men. So I mean, imagine that if you're in a war. I mean, guys, you're in the war, you need time to attack, or you need time to actually shoot. And imagine if when you're aiming the enemy and you're trying to shoot your enemy, and then you still need to pull out the watch from your pocket and look at the time. So it is not convenient itself. So that is where that time when people actually use a pocket watch and then tie with a strap. That's the reason why now we have this something called NATO strap itself, or Zulu strap, onto their wrist and make a pocket watch more active, more movable when they are in war. So men wrist was actually worn by military men first. So sorry, ladies, I think the man has actually taken over the wristwatch as a male accessory. Yeah. So, all right. Any questions, Benny?
Go on. Those who have questions can just continue to ask questions on the comment section. So hopefully you can ask Dato Michael Tee
sure.
if you have any queries.
Sure. Okay. So actually, in the watch industry, it's pretty funny. I think that Benny, you have studied some also history of Japanese watch itself. There is a lot of history saying that actually which country or who actually invented the first watch, or who is the first in inventing some new technology for watches. So I've actually go down into the rabbit hole, actually pull out a few key milestones. So in case for anybody tonight with us right now, before you want to buy a wristwatch, or before you want to appreciate a wristwatch itself, I'm going to go through with you some very important milestone of how actually a wristwatch has actually evolved from way back in 1657. So 1557, the balance spring is invented. This is something very, very big invention for a watch. It's not a wristwatch, but it's a pocket watch first. Because at that time, where before pocket watch, people is only talking about clock. So you can only see time at home, Benny. So you can only see big grandfather clock or big clock at home. So it is very, very hard, because that time you only can wind the grandfather's clock mainspring using a tool, but you can't actually carry a clock anywhere itself. And that time, the clock is not actually, the time itself is not as accurate as what the watches that we have enjoyed today. So by coming from 1657, the balance spring is invented to increase the time accuracy. So moving to 1680, the minute hand is introduced. So what is a minute hand? I think anybody who has actually seen a watch, you will see that there is actually three hands. A basic watch should have three hands, okay, on your dial, namely the hour hand that tell you what time or what is the hour. a minute hand that actually tells you what minute is it now, and then a second hand, which is the one that is either ticking if you are using a clock watch, or is actually moving, shifting smoothly if it's a mechanical watch, right? So because of the balance spring is invented, the times get more accurate. That is the reason why there is an introduction of minute hand. So those days, if you look at the old clock itself or the old pocket watch itself, you only have an hour hand. All right. So moving to 1977, Abraham Louis Perlet invented the first self-winding, aka automatic pocket watch. It's still not a wristwatch yet. It's a pocket watch itself. So this is the guy that actually invented the first pocket watch. And in 1801, this person, looking at his name, okay, Abraham Louis Breguet, patented the first tourbillon. I think this brand itself, Breguet, is still available until today. It's a very much respected watch company, luxury watch company. It's a very high-end watch companies. They are very, very famous of coming up with very, very artistic type of watches, okay, incorporate with a lot of rare stones and jewelries, right? I'll explain a bit more later, okay? So, and 1812, the first wristwatch is created by Breguet for Caroline Murat, Queen of Naples, right? So I've went through the rabbit hole itself. Some of them actually says that the Queen Elizabeth I actually got the first arm watch. So looks like the word arm watch and wristwatch there's a different. So that's why I find that more sites itself actually carries that the first wristwatch is actually created by Breguet. Okay, and through Breguet's original or so-called official website, it also stated that they are the first company who created the first wristwatch. So which means the first wristwatch itself is created, is not produced, which means it was being made upon a request, okay, for the Queen of Naples. So, but the real production of wristwatch happens only in 1868, which is a company that everybody knows about it today, which is Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe is the first company who actually came in with production of first wristwatch. So you can see the difference between the 1868 and 1812. The 1812 was a request to make, but the 1868, they are ready to make and produce a proper wristwatch itself. All right. So the next is actually the 1924. The first self-winding wristwatch is created by John Howard, an English watchmaker, using a hammer winding mechanism. So if some of you know that what is a semi-auto or bumper mechanism itself, I think this is where 1924 itself is started. And then 1926, this company called Fortis, which actually also survived until now, presented world first mass-produced automatic wristwatch at Basel Trade World. Basel World is a place in Switzerland where every year all the horology watch dealers and also companies gather somewhere around in March, April, or May to launch new model every year. But this year, due to MCO COVID, they have actually cancelled the whole Basel, and also they've moved the whole Basel World to 2021. So all these names that you are very familiar with right now has a very, very long history and heritage. And when you are going to a wristwatch territory, heritage itself is very, very important. All right. Then 1931, Rolex, or some people actually pronounce as Rolex, introduced roto movement that will wind a watch on a 360-degree movement. And then 1969, the Quartz watch was introduced. Okay, the Quartz watch was introduced. I would like to stop here is because I think it will later relate to the smartwatch. And then I'm going to tell you what happened after 1969. And I'm going to share with you a bit about what will happen from my personal point of view to smartwatch in the watch industry.
Okay, let's give them a few terminology that you use, right? Okay, for those who are still new in watches, because we only know watches, especially the younger ones, we only know about smart watches, right? And it's all digital and stuff, with Bluetooth connection and all that. because you mentioned about balance spring, you mentioned about minutes hand, and so on. So now, when the first watches were created, they were automatic, right?
The first watches created was actually winding.
Mechanical, right? It's mechanical, right, Dato?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
And basically, when you wanna get the time running, you have to keep on winding your watch. So last time, if you remember those grandfather clocks, you have to make the pendulum move, right, in order for you to get the clock moving. So in wristwatch, in wristwatch, you also have the the winding mechanism. You have to wind, once your spring is loose, and then it stops, and then you have to wind again. So for example, like this one you see, I'm not sure whether you're able to see. So the winding is like that, right? You can hear the sound.
Yeah.
So that's winding, right? So that's mechanical. The other one, of course, you talk about automatic. Automatic is, I think, those newer watches where it doesn't run on battery. There's no battery, but if you keep on moving the watch, then it will automatically wind the watch, right? And then it comes to quartz. So Dato mentioned about quartz. Quartz means it's battery lah. Nama saja glamour, right? Quartz, but it's actually battery watches. Yeah. So that's just to get people, because for those who are still new in watches. All right.
Yes. Don't worry, Benny. In my later slides, I will actually show there are how many type of watches in the market, and those watches are powered by what. All right. So for guys, for those who has actually owned a watch, or for those who has actually aiming for your next watch, or for those who wanted to just buy your first watch itself, I've actually categorized the watches into a few categories. So first, the watch display, like what Benny says, that actually look at watch displays is what you can see on the watch face or the dial itself. So if you are wearing a watch that shows you, some of them is analog, which is the 3 hands itself. Okay, some of you might show you only purely digital, which is Casio's and the rest. And then some might actually show you a hybrid, which means both analog and digital. And then the last but not least, which is touchscreen, which is Apple, which is a recent smartwatch itself. So basically, in the market, there are these these small dials you can see on your watch. And then the watch dial itself, I've categorized into a few, like you have casual, for different occasions. You can wear casual watch, you have a dress watch, you have a sports watch, you have a fashion watch, and you have a luxury watch, and you have a jewelry watch itself. So it depends. So watch, as I mentioned, is just now that it has actually become an accessory for ladies and gentlemen. So I will actually wear up to the occasion, what type of occasion I will actually pair it with what type of watches that I have. So these are the styles that you can actually go with whatever occasions that you're going. And then next is the watch movement. So look at the watch movement itself, like what Benny says, that we have a quartz, which is mainly purely run by your battery. It is very easy to maintain. You do not need to wind your watch. The watch tells you accurate time, very, very accurate time. And usually a good battery, a good quartz watch itself can actually last you up to 2 to 3 years, the battery itself. And the price of a battery is definitely below 100 ringgit. All right. So this is a very low maintenance cost, low maintenance watch. And then the second one, which is the mechanical manual winding watch. This is a watch that I use to don't like it, because I find it very troublesome, because every time before I wear the watch itself, I have to actually wind it. And then I used to have a pen-based pen wind, and every time before I wear, I have to wind it, and I hate it. So I just sold it. But when throughout the whole watch collecting journey itself, your actually habits and behavior change. So recently, I've actually fallen love into mechanical watch again, because the reason why I like mechanical watch now is because the maintenance of itself is pretty low, and the chances of you getting a fake mechanical watch engine is even lower. And some of my friends actually do tell me that, look, why not you just wind your watch like talking to your girlfriend every day, so gives you that kind of feeling, right? So the next is the mechanical automatic watch, and then there's a solar automatic is where you do not need to wind. When you shake your hand or when you actually move around, the watch itself will be self-winded. All right. So this is called automatic, and the next is solar, and then this is, I think it's very clear, it's actually powered by sunlight itself. Kinetic is something where you move, and actually the mechanical inside actually charges the battery. So it is called a kinetic watch. A spring drive is a very unique watch that I think myself and Benny love it the most. It's a special creation patented by Seiko, by Seiko itself. It actually has the most accurate mechanism across whole world. If you have a chance to look at a Grand Seiko, how actually it moves with spring drive movement, it is way much smoother compared to the rest of the watches out there. And the accuracy itself is superb. All right. The last but not least, which is the watch functionality, where depends. So there are some people who like to have complicated watch. So they want to have chronograph, they want to look cool. Some of them, they like to travel. I use a GMT a lot. I'm wearing a GMT today. All right. So GMT is really fantastic when you're on the move, when you travel. I think GMT itself helps you a lot in telling your time and the country you are and the time of your home back there. Okay. And then calendar and moon phase. This is some pretty high-end watches that we are talking. And then some watches tell about day and night. Some actually wears it for diving purpose. Some actually wears it for pilots. Some also wears it for field job. And then last is a practical tool watch itself. So the next slide itself, I'll actually give you some example of some of the watches that I've spoken here. You might not get it, but when you look at the photo itself, I think you all will be familiar with the type of watches and functionality that I'm actually talking. So okay, the watches over here, the brands over here doesn't represent how famous they are. All right, I just pick out some watches from the internet that I find that that might relate you the easiest and the fastest. Okay, so it doesn't mean that if the watch brand is not inside, it's not famous, all right? So the first is a GMT watch. You can see actually very clearly that this watch itself has 4 hands. It has a minute hand, it has an hour hand, it has a second hand, and it has a second hour hand. A second hour hand actually tells you the timing of another country that you are in or you are going to. So a GMT watch works perfectly for me because I'm a heavy traveler. So this is something where personally I like the most. Okay, second is a diver watch. This is a Omega 777 No Time to Die 2020 series. I think I love the watch very much. It's a diving watch. But to be honest, I don't think anybody today actually wear such an expensive watch for diving. But this is actually how it looks like as a dive watch itself. So looking at the watch, you have 2 crowns. The crown on the other hand, on the left hand side top at about 10 o'clock, that is the crown for you when you actually dive. You can release the helium, you can release the pressure of the watch. All right, so this one is very useful if you are really a diver. All right, then the next 2 is actually a chronograph watch. One is Audemars Piguet, and also another one is Tag Heuer. So both watch, you can see that very clear that it looks complicated because it has 3 small timer inside the dial itself. The Tag Heuer has actually 2. These 2 are very legendary watches. Like for example, the AP itself, we call it as a panda because it looks like a panda. All right. The one Tag Heuer itself is a Steve McQueen racing chronograph watch itself. So you can see that you have 1, 2, and 3 crown on your right hand side. So you have 1 crown and 2 pusher. So the top and bottom pusher actually acts as a button to actually for you to actually time your racing for sports or you're racing for cars or anything, right? So the last the one on the right is called a pilot watch. A pilot watch, I think IWC Big Pilot is very famous. The biggest difference between a pilot watch that you can see at one glance is the huge crown. The huge bawang looks like crown. So it looks like there's a big bawang there on the crown. Is way bigger than compared to the rest of the watches. So when you look at that, the design of the watches itself, you will know that it is actually a pilot watch because most of the pilots, they wear gloves and then it makes them easier for them to pull out and adjust our timing, right? So coming to the second row of the watches itself, I've actually put in not all Swiss. The first row itself are all Swiss watches. The second row itself, the first watch is actually Lange Ungsune is a German watch itself. It's a watch that I love it very much. Okay, I used to own a Grasshopper original, but I've actually sold it Senator. So looking at this German watch itself, you can see that the aesthetic, they are very good in positioning dates. So this is a Moonfei, but looking at the date itself, you will know that it's a German design language. All right. So the next one, I think this is the dream watch of many people. It's a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar watch. You almost get everything that you wish and you want for a watch, which is inside here. So actually, they even works for leap year as well. All right. So the next is actually a dress watch. It's a very simple, clean 3 hands with a date dress watch itself, which is a Grand Seiko. So which is a Japanese brand. So why I would put a Grand Seiko here rather than put a very classic Rolex Datejust is because I think Grand Seiko itself, in terms of their dress watch, their workmanship itself is extremely good because the polishing method, the design language that they have, usually is according to the samurai's level, right? The next is a Breitling 2 watch. Actually, this is called an SOS watch. It will be able to actually track where are you when you pull out the SOS button on the on the bottom of the right hand side. This actually works very well for military people. And the last, which is the jewelry watch, which is I don't think you can see the brand there. It's actually Breguet. So this is a very expensive watch. Majority of the jewelry watch, they don't focus much on the movement itself, but they focus a lot on the aesthetic and the jewelries.
All right, Dato, why is Apple Watch not there? Because Apple Watch is the biggest selling watch in the whole world.
Okay, the reason why I don't think I want to put Apple Watch is because I think a lot of viewers, they might have Apple Watch, and to be honest, Apple Watch is just a rectangular shape. If it's not powered out, it's completely dark, and also there's one button. So aesthetic wise, I think that's the reason why maybe I didn't put them here. And has Apple actually crushed the Swiss watch industry? Later, when I go down a little bit more to some of my slides, I will actually tell you the answer is yes and no.
Okay, so we'll come into that in a short while. Okay, there's a question by Samantha Lim. You say, why hardly see Maurice Lacroix in the watch ranking?
Okay, you see, when it comes to watch collection or watch investment, I'm not talking about you should actually buy any watches that you think you like the most, you enjoy the most, you like the brand, you like the design language. But if you are talking about investment grade watches, there are only a few investment grade watches. So Maurice Lacroix is a good watch, but the reason, as I mentioned just now, if it's not included in my slides, it doesn't mean that it's not a good watch. But for investment great purpose of watches, I think there are only a handful of them. Okay, there's only a handful of them, Benny.
Yeah, going to share with us later?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, all right. Now, can we go on?
So, okay, you can see that I think that this is what I've spoken to Peter itself. There are so many brands outside the market. You can see Omega, you can see so many big brands like Ultima, and also Piaget, and also so many Hublot and whatever. But do you all know that all these watches are only owned by a few very big watch company like Swatch, like LVMH Group, like Richemont Group, right? So you can see that there's the biggest group in the whole watch industry is actually Swatch, and then at the bottom, Benny, you can see Apple. Finally, Apple is there, right? I mean, they've been trying so hard. Nobody actually addressed them or acknowledged them as a watchmaker many years ago, but finally they made it to this chart itself. I think to them is kudos to them. It's not easy to come into this chart itself. You can see that right at the bottom of the watch press itself, there are only very few independent watchmaker. So which means that they are not publicly listed like Swatch Group or LVMH or Richemont. They are an independent watchmaker. They do not need to disclose their profit and loss to the public, and also they are not pressured by shareholders because of profit, and they come up with certain designs that might not suit the market taste, right? So I think by looking at this chart itself, it actually tells you if you are buying any products from a public listed company, the price of the product has to go up. No choice. Why? Because they have shareholders to answer. They have shareholders to answer. That gives you an idea of why every year or every few years, I think Rolex has been quite consistent in raising their price of watches. The rest of them is either they improve the movement, or they come up with a new model, or they come up with a tweak of the model, or some collaborations. They will actually increase the price of the watch. So the independent watch itself, you can see that there's left only a few, which is Rolex, Audemars Piguet, and then these are Patek Philippe, and also Chauffard. So these are all the independent watchmaker in Swiss, but you can see that companies like Seiko itself is a Japanese brand. They are also an independent watch, and they actually owns this brand called Pulsar and also Orient.
Okay, Dato, what makes the difference in price? Because for example, like just even an entry level Patek Philippe is probably going to worth like 100K as compared to, let's say, the same. I mean, the functions are the same, everything looks the same, but it's a different brand. For example, like Seiko may look like a Patek Philippe, but what makes the price difference? Why is Patek Philippe more expensive than, let's say, the other watches, which basically looks the same?
Benny, can you recommend me a Seiko watch that looks like Patek Philippe?
Oh, I mean, they are not just Seiko watch lah. I mean, some other brands, right, that looks like the same. Very simple face watch dial, just time. It can cost like 60,000, 70,000 ringgit as compared to just a normal watch.
Okay, it comes from actually, it depends. So as I mentioned just now, if you are looking for a watch itself, a lot of watch collectors, they are looking at the heritage of the watch company. So the heritage of the watch company itself is very, very important, and the reputation of the company itself, the brand itself, is very, very important. It doesn't mean that this watch brand, like for example Zenith, has been in the market very, very long. They even actually supply their chronograph movement to Rolex to actually put into a Daytona in the early days of Rolex Daytonas. But it doesn't mean that the watch itself, the history is long. The price of the watch itself is going to be expensive, and it's going to be very collectible. It doesn't has that correlation, right? The reason, the question just like asking me why Patek Philippe is way much more desirable or much more expensive compared to Seiko. I think the heritage, the quality, the reputation itself is very important. And then definitely it comes to also the demand and supply. The demand and supply of that watch itself is very, very important. So even under Patek Philippe, right, it's not all models are hot selling models, right? There are some models in Patek Philippe are not that hot selling. There are some models where you need to wait almost now. If you are going for a waiting list, for example, for Rolex, a typical submariner will actually let you wait almost 2 to 3 years. But if you know somebody inside, maybe you can get it like within a year. But if you just walk in and say, hey, look, I want to get a submariner, how long should I wait? Your waiting period is about 2 to 3 years. But whereas if you go to Patek Philippe and you're looking for a Nautilus itself, previously your waiting is more than 3 years. I think after the hype recently, I think it has actually reached about 6 years itself. So I mean, it's pretty impossible when you walk into a Seiko watch shop and says that I want to buy this model, and the Seiko sales lady or the manager will tell you that, hey, Benny, you have to wait for this watch for 2 years or 3 years, and most likely you just forget about it, you won't buy, right? And that is the reason why in the gray market or in the second-hand market, the prices of the watches itself has actually been supporting by a lot of buyers, because the demand itself is far greater than the supply. All right, don't talk about quality. I think quality is a given for all these top switch watches.
Again, Dato, when we continue the presentation, we'll save the Q&A for until you finish your slides.
Yeah. Okay, Ken. So the next slides, it shows actually who is the big brother in the Switch watches. Look at this is the retail market share by brand in 2018. The one that's sticking out solely is actually Rolex. Rolex itself actually controls about 22% of the whole retail market of these Swiss watches, luxury watches, and then followed by Omega itself. Omega. So these two actually, you can see the one is actually an independent watchmaker. The other one, Omega, actually is under Swatch Group. So the rest you can actually look into it and see which brands actually have how big is the market share in the luxury watch market. Okay, so very, very interestingly, I've came across this Night Luxury Investment Index, which is a Knight France Luxury Investment Index. You know what I mean? When we are in this industry of stock market, we always talk about index. We always talk about Malaysia index, US index, whatever index. I mean, I came across this index close to about 4 or 5 years ago. So Knight Frank is a very famous company who actually come up with this luxury investment index that tracks the performance of a theoretical basket of selected collectible asset classes such as arts, jewelries, classic cars, watches, whiskey, wine, using third-party indexes. So each asset class is weighted to reflect its relatively importance and value within the basket. So actually there is a index actually to actually track all these luxury goods itself. So this is the latest Net Luxury Investment Index, KLII for the year 2019. Okay, you can look at watch itself, right? So looking at the watch itself, the past 12 months, okay, the growth of this watch itself is only 2%. But if you look at the past 10 years, the watch itself has actually steadily grow a 60%. So I mean, you can definitely ask me later why I choose watch and not the rest of other luxury products like wine, like whiskey, like cars or whatever. I'll be able to explain that. Benny?
Okay.
So okay, right. So some of you might say, hey Mike, if I want to start to buy my first luxury watch, so which will I go through? So this is a very simple chart that shows that the most entry level and most wanted watch for the Rolex brand, it is a Rolex sports model called the Submariner. Okay, no date. So which means that it's purely no date. It's a giant Rolex Submariner watch. So look at the price of the watch that you bought in 1957, and if you are buying a new Rolex Submariner now in Ringgit Malaysia, is definitely below 40 grand, but close to 40 grand, which is very, very close to 40 grand from the boutique if you are lucky. If not, if you go to grey market itself, it's definitely below 50K, above 40K. So this is how much the price of a Rolex Submariner has actually increased. But I mean, if you want to take into the inflation itself, then you won't see much. So it depends on a investor's perspective, which number you want to look at. So the growth of Switch watches from 2010 to 2015, you can see that the Swiss watches itself, the growth has been very, very steady since year 2000 to year 2014. And from year 2015 onwards, there is a drop of a sales revenue for Swiss watches. But bear in mind, look at the red color charts. The red color charts actually shows that the revenue from the watches which is above 3,000 Swiss franc. So this is actually a sweet spot of a luxury watch where actually it differentiates itself from the rest of the basic luxury Swiss watch, basic, which is open and closed inverted comma, right? So you look at next slide, Benny. What happens after year 2015? So there's a lot of people say that after 2015, when all the smartwatches, Apple watches comes into the market, the price, the Swiss watches export itself has actually dropped. So if you look at the blue color line, which represents Swiss watches, which is ranging between Swiss franc 500 ringgit to 3,000 itself. Yes, you are right. The overall Swiss watches for the watches within this price range has dropped, but looking at the Swiss franc watches which are priced 3,000 and above, it has actually grown. So that's why you asked me, Benny, earlier on asking this question: has Apple smartwatch actually killed the Swiss watch industry? My answer to you is yes and no. He has actually killed those Swiss watches which are priced between Swiss franc of 500 ringgit to 3,000, but it didn't actually kill any of the Swiss watches which price above 3,000 Swiss franc. Okay, so moving next to the next slide, what do consumer and collectors like? So these are the units of watches being exported and produced out. So from 2013 all the way to 2018, you can look at the amount of mechanical watches. So the first one is mechanical wristwatch versus electronic wristwatch. Then the second row is mechanical movement, which means the ETA movements, the 𝐕𝐺𝐻 movements, right, versus the ETA quartz movement as well. So while looking at this, you will definitely understand that the whole market itself, due to pricing, I think a lot of buyers still will go for quartz or battery watches. So the volume itself, the units itself, is way, way, way more, okay, compared to the mechanical watches. But you look at the mechanical watches in terms of value. The value itself is way much higher than the electronic watches. So which means that mechanical watches is all about quality. It's all about quality, it's not about quantity. Whereas electronic watches is all about quantity. But I can't say that it's not about quality, because there are some watches itself, the casing and their dials and whatever itself is pretty good, but the movement itself is not as complicated, and you need to change the battery like every 2-3 years, right? So looking at the whole industry itself, you actually see that there is still an increment of 6.3% over years, right? So right at the bottom itself, you can see that there is still an increase of Swiss watch exports. Okay, from January to December of 2018, still a 6.3%, right? So, Benny?
Yep, you gonna go on?
Okay, so the next slide, this is where I've made a collective data of who actually consume, or which country actually has been distributed the most Swiss watch. So it's definitely Hong Kong. It's definitely Hong Kong for sure. So followed by US and followed by China itself. So out of the top 20 countries that you see over here, actually Japan, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand are very, very near to us. So what does that mean? So which means that actually the demand of the Swiss watches in this region itself is still on an uptrend. So which means if you are a collector, most likely if you buy watches over here, and if you do not want to sell in Malaysia in future, if you plan to sell, in any of the countries like those in Japan, I've put my watches in Hong Kong and in Korea before. The rates are way better than Malaysia. The rates are way better than Malaysia. And looking at Malaysia itself, we are sitting on 29th place, which is not too bad. And look at the variation on the most right-hand side. It is still on an uptrend. So which means that the demand for Swiss watches in this part of the world is still on an uptrend. So which means that for buyers and collectors, if you still think that the price of Swiss watches will go down because of Apple, those 3,000 Swiss franc and above, I think the chances are very, very slim. I don't think that Rolex will give a 50% discount or 30% or even 10% discount due to COVID this time. So next, Benny. So this will bring me to the last slide of my presentation. So these are the top 10 most expensive watches, as you can see over here, as at February 2020. So you can see that there are a lot of watches, as I mentioned just now, like Breguet itself. They are specialized in producing heavy jewelry, heavy rare stones, heavy diamonds kind of watches itself. So you can see that the top first, second, third, and fourth watches, the price is that high. It's not because of the movement. It is because of the craftsmanship. It is because of the heritage of that watch company, but mostly actually was add on from the jewelry itself. So starting from watch number 5, which is Patek Philippe Super Complication. This is a superb watch where the mechanism itself is very is way super. And also Jacob and Co billionaire watch is also filled with a lot of diamonds. Paul Newman Rolex Daytona. This is a very interesting watch. I think this price actually came out from an auction. I think it's last year or last year itself. It has actually came out to be one of the most expensive Rolex watch in the history in the auction. So if for those who have actually watched this Crazy Rich Asian before, inside actually there's one scene where the actress actually gave a Paul Newman Rolex Daytona to the actor, but that is not this actual model itself, which is a sibling model, but it's not this Paul Newman's Rolex that wore by Paul Newman itself, right? So the next is actually Patek Philippe 1518. Go and check out this watch. It's a cool watch. The next is the Vacheron Constantin, which is also a very good watch. The last but not least, which is a Hublot. Hublot Big Bang. This is a watch that actually has a lot of diamonds in it. I mean, if you look at a lot of rappers in the States, they like this bling bling watch is because they are very famous in putting a lot of diamonds and rare stones on the watches itself. So in terms of watch, you have to be very clear. Some of them are so expensive is because of the jewelries, the stones itself. Some of them are really expensive is because due to the scarcity of the watch itself and also the heritage of the watch itself. All right, so that's all for my presentation tonight, Benny and Peter. I'm open to any questions if we still have time.
All right. So guys, if you have any questions, can you just ask questions right now? Okay, I have a few questions right here. Remember you showed the slide, the world distribution of slides of Swiss watches. There's a question here, why is Swiss not inside the list here?
Okay, you see, there's a lot of, which means that it's export from Swiss, export from Swiss. So there is a lot of myth in the market. There are people who actually ask me and say, Mike, if I want to buy a Rolex, is it going to be cheaper if I go to the HQ in Switzerland itself and actually buy it in Switzerland, or is it cheaper for me to buy watches from Switzerland itself? Actually, my answer to you is no. It doesn't guarantee that when you buy a Swiss watch in Switzerland, it's cheaper compared to this part of the world. And it also doesn't guarantee, even though you fly all the way to Switzerland, you'll be able to get the model that you want. Because for most Rolex sports model, almost everywhere in the world is out of stock because it's very limited.
All right, next question is from Bo Bunchiang. How about German brands such as I don't know how to pronounce it, but I mean here we just call
Alange Unsone.
Yeah, I only know Alana. So are they being ranked on par with the Swiss?
Yes. If you ask me my personal point of view, I will give you a straight yes. It's because if you look at the mechanism, usually, okay, for example, for Patek Philippe watches, they usually give you a see-through back case, or they are very famous of their hunter case. You can actually see through how refined and complicated is their watch movement is. The one that is really very near to that type of level is definitely German. The German watch is definitely I mean, I know that if there is some Japanese big fans out there is going to scold me, says that, yeah, maybe Credo by Seiko is also very superior. But if you ask me, I still think that there are still way to go. But for this German brand, Lange Armstrong, itself, Langit Onsani itself is very, very close to Patek, and also for Glasutek Original is also very close to Patek Philippe's level.
Yeah, what about Richard Mille?
Oh, yeah, you see that basically I've never put a Richard Mille logo in any of my slides over here, even though they are not even in the top 10 most expensive watch. So I've actually made a survey yesterday night. Their most expensive watch is Richard Mille Tourbillon 56-02 Sapphire. It's only at $2 million. It has not hit the 5 million par itself. So for this brand, it is relatively a new brand. As I mentioned to you, watches itself is about the history, it's about the heritage of Benny. It's about, I think this company itself, they've done a very good job in marketing. I think there is a point, there's a time where everybody is actually chasing for this watch. First of all, I'm not rich enough to own this watch yet. So it's not that, I mean, it doesn't mean that it is a bad watch, but somehow around in China, somehow maybe in other countries, maybe in Malaysia also, there are some maybe correlations with this watch where the people who are wearing this might not be those people in the watch industry that they want to associate with. But definitely this is a great watch, a good watch. It carries a lot of value in terms of money. Yes, there are some very sought after models. You can still make money out of it, but do prepare to have a minimum investment of close to maybe like 800,000 for a watch for Richard Mille.
Okay, here's from Santek Santong. Do you know of any platform to trade watches, and how do we know it's genuine?
Okay, so this is two questions itself. So I would like to answer one by one. To look at whether a watch is a genuine or not, I think that first of all, if you want to go through this journey, buy yourself a good watch magnifying glass, maybe the one that we have, but better still with lights that you can actually see the details. A counterfeit watch versus a genuine watch itself, the details is in the devil. Okay, without opening the engine itself, by looking at the dial, you will be able to spot, okay, the refineness, the accuracy, the prints of the words itself, the indexes, colors, the alignment itself from counterfeit and genuine is way different. All right. So, but to play safe, what you can do is you can actually bring your watch itself. If you're buying a very expensive watch, I don't expect you to actually buy for any stranger. There are a lot of, if you think you can't get it from this authorized dealer, you can actually get it from a lot of grey market shops in Klang Valley. There are a lot of very good grey market watch dealer in the Klang Valley, like in Vijaya Times Square, in Publica, and also some are scattered around somewhere in Bukit Bintang area. And then they have some in Johor Bahru, they have some in Penang, and then they have some in Kuching itself. So those are the places. If you are ready to fork out this much amount of money to buy some watch, I do advise you to get it from a shop. So at least you get a cover from the shop if they are selling counterfeit. And most likely, most of the watch shops itself, they will not want to spoil their reputation, because once they sell one counterfeit watch to you, there goes their reputation. So in this industry itself, as I mentioned just now, reputations, heritage itself come first than any other things, right? So it is best that you can, if you know, you can actually check yourself. If you do not know, please actually buy it from a authorized dealer or from a grey market shop as well. All right, Benny?
All right. I think we are about end of time right now. Guys, if you are still interested to have this session again in the future, can you just type watch on the comments so that we know whether you guys will be really interested in this topic. We may bring some guests as well into our show So if you're interested, watch. I'm just going to summarize all the other questions into one question, Dato, because there'll be a lot of questions that's asked about what kind of brands to buy and all that. But basically, which brands or which kind of watches do you think will appreciate over time?
Okay, there is no one straight answer for this, Benny. There's no one straight answer for this, but I can roughly say that there are brands actually that give you more security in terms of your investment. It actually helps you to make that there are a lot of people out there. Rolex is overpriced, the boring watch, the design looks like almost the same, but look, it's like a liquid gold. So I mean that if you think that you really want to go in as a investor and you want to make money out of watches, Rolex is definitely a safe haven, but it's not all models. Their sports model, especially their stainless steel sports model, are the ones that you should look at first. Okay, then only you look at their dress watch. All right, so don't look for those full gold, yellow gold, full yellow gold, full rose gold, or plaid or white gold. Look at their basic stainless steel sports watch, right? And then another brand is definitely Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe is a brand, but I cannot guarantee you almost all their models itself will actually make money. For example, like Nautilus, and also for example like Aquanaut itself. These two models, the price has shoot through the roof because look, guys, I've been offered a Nautilus about a year ago at about 180, and I didn't price that. How crazy it actually shot up. And then for Rolexes itself, I think for those who own any old Rolexes, even pretty vintage ones, the price itself has actually gone up pretty much. So another brand which is the Audemars Piguet. This is the
two, so definitely we'll be looking for a watch session too.
Yeah, are you sure?
Very sure. We got feedback on watch. So what will be very good is I think in the next session it'll be good if we can request Dato with your kindness. Maybe you can share with us what kind of Swiss watches and what kind of Japanese watches are there. And what investors can actually explore between the Swiss watches and the Japanese watches, what brand to explore to actually start investing in watches. Yeah, would that be possible?
Yeah, sure. I'll be more than happy to share. So for those who are with us tonight, I can say that if you really want to kickstart your first watch investment, you should actually try to look at some. If you can get a sports watch from Rolex authorized dealer, that will be the best move. Trust me, you'll be surprised that sometimes you might be able to get it in airports, but not in Malaysia airports, right? You might be surprised that you can get it in other airports. Second thing is if you do not have such a big amount of capital to kickstart with a Rolex sports model, you can actually kickstart with the Rolex vintage model itself. So there are some vintages that actually carry very good price. The price of like a very basic 6694 Rolex manual winding watch itself previously was I have got one at about $2,000. Market now is actually asking for about $6,000. So you can actually start collecting. If you do not want to spend a lot of money, you can start with vintage watches, but there is a lot of tips in collecting vintage watches. So that one itself, Peter, it will take out a lot of time. So that's something, yeah. So for Japanese watches, we can share with you in the next round because this is where Benny started his journey. I think Benny has actually seen the legendary Seiko SKX 007 James Bond, this model itself, where the second piece was previously selling like dirt cheap, like about 200 or 250. Now, if you do not have a minimum 600, you do not need to look at this watch itself. If it's with a bracelet, it can go up to about 700-800 ringgit. So I'm happy to share if there's a demand and put some money into watches where you can wear it and enjoy it every day while key in your stocks order online. All right. So yeah, Benny gonna go wear one on the forehead itself. So enjoy your watch hunting journey. Thank you very much, Benny. Thank you very much, Peter. Peter, I know that you are very stressed helping me to keep time. This is my first time. short next round, share data, but maybe a bit more of my personal experience itself.
It has been a very, very fantastic session. I think the feedback from audience, they like the session today. That's why we definitely will welcome you for a second session. We look forward to more of your sharing.
The next session, we're going to talk more about investment, Dato. So you're going to teach us more on the audience more on how to start really investing and make money from watches as well.
Sure.
All right.
Happy to help.
Okay, guys. So all right. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Guys, if you want to get in touch with us, please do text us or WhatsApp us at 036 no 0 what's the number? Sorry, 603-8408-2070. Okay, we're gonna tag that number there on our comment section. Is 603-8408-2070. Right. So for us to access our free online trading platform, free online equity tracker platform up to the 28th of April. Since that we're gonna extend our MCO till the 28th of April, so make sure you use this opportunity or take this opportunity to learn about investments. And it looks like we are still going to run this copy time until the 28th and probably beyond. So at least the 28th, so you can join us every single day. Tomorrow we're going to have stocks versus properties. All right, where we're supposed to have this last week, but because there was some technical error, we were unable to run this. But we're going to have this tomorrow at 8 p.m. So I see you there tomorrow at 8 p.m. And for those Mandarin, for those who know Mandarin, you can actually join us in our Mandarin session, which is starting right now. So you go to our Equity Striker Mandarin page, and you should be able to join the Mandarin team, Equity Striker Mandarin team, to go and share with you the investing for today. All right. So thank you very much.
The donations charity drive.
Yeah, we also have a charity drive going on. Log on to our Facebook page. The details are there where you are able to learn for free as long as you make a donation. So it's basically we are trying to help you to be equipped with investing knowledge and at the same time help people who are in need currently. All right. So please do log on to our Facebook page, our Equity Striker Facebook page, and you should be able to see the details over there. All right. So thank you very much, Dato. Thank you very much, and
thank you, Benny. Thank you. Good night,
tomorrow
everybody.
8 p.m.
Bye.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night.